Welcome to the session sponsored by Bahamas Girl Guides Association training team. This session gives focus to the Ranger section. You may wonder, what are the Rangers? Who are they? What do they do? Well, we intend to just draw on some of the activities that take place in Rangers this afternoon so that you will have a little bit more of an idea of Rangers. First, I wish to have our executive committee of this Ranger group introduce themselves and say what it is they do. Then we will begin a sample business meeting, and then we will do two other kinds of meetings, real short samples. One will give focus to when a guest speaker is the main feature of the meeting. The third and final one would be when an activity is the main feature of a meeting. And then we will move into the ceremony part. So at this point, I will have our executive committee introduce themselves. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, my name is Caitlin and I serve as president. As president, I am responsible for organizing the meetings, communicating with other units through their leaders to invite them to special meetings, chairing the meetings, and making sure everyone has an equal opportunity in participating in meetings, such as giving ideas, discussions, having an equal opportunity to represent the group, and having a chance to lead activities.
Good afternoon, my name is Gabrielle and I serve as Vice President. My role as Vice President is to assist the President in her role as well as to communicate with the rest of the group during the week on the plans for the next meeting.
Good afternoon, my name is Marla and I serve as Secretary. As Secretary, I record discussions and solutions that are made in the meetings. I also help the end year reports.
The role of the treasurer is to record the attendance of the girls during each meeting, as well as to collect dues during the week, and to deal with other financial matters of the group, including helping the leader to compose the end-of-year report financially.
And now we will begin what would be a typical business meeting.
Good afternoon, Rangers. Hope all is well. We are about to begin the meeting. Marla, can you lead us in devotions, please?
Thank you, Caitlin. Our theme in devotions today will be love. The scripture reading is taken from John chapter 13, verse 34. God's love is entirely different than the love that you feel for your family and friends. His love goes beyond what we mere mortals understand the meaning to be. So much so that he sent his son to die for you before you could clean up your habits. We'll now have a short song, Love, is something that you give me. Please bow your heads and close your eyes. Spirit of God, I ask that you open our hearts to those hearts who are closed. Grant this so that their hearts will open and love will be able to bloom throughout our homes, communities, countries, and the world. Amen.
Are there any apologies, Gabby?
Gabrielle and Ariel send their apologies for they were not able to make it today.
Gabby, you can take attendance and dues now.
Loud.
Marla,
Here.
do you have your dues?
I do.
Thank you. Caitlin,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Hold on.
3 people were present and $2.50 were collected.
Marla, you can give minutes from last meeting now.
All right. Rangers meeting of May 27, 2016 began at 4:15 p.m. with the chair calling the meeting to order. Devotions were led by Ariel. The theme was forgiveness. Apologies were received from Riche and Darvia. There were 5 in attendance, and dues collected was $5.20. Charlicia, the treasurer, reported having purchased a certificate paper at $3.25. The balance is currently $17.50. Matters discussed were distribution of bands for adult teens. Conclusions forms were that we would distribute these bands throughout schools to promote abstinence. The new item on the agenda was to select the next good deed. Ariel's suggestion to give care packets to street people was selected by a vote of 5-0. The remainder of the meeting was used to make plastic hand bracelets from water bottles. Everyone finished making and decorating their bracelets before dismissal. The meeting ended at 5:35 p.m. with recitation of the guide law and promise followed by tablets and minutes.
Can Gabby and Marla please bring in your block card sheets which were due from April? Next meeting, please.
The main announcement from the association is that a tea party is being planned for the association. I sent via email the information, and I think there's still 1 or 2 tables left. If you've changed your mind, we discussed this before and you decided against taking a table, but if you've changed your mind, then let me know so that I can pass that information on ASAP within the next few days. Thank you.
Our discussion today will be planning our care package. When planning a care package, we need to pick our audience.
I think that we should focus on the boys and girls.
I actually disagree, and I believe that we should take the packages to older people who do not have access to such supplies.
You want to have a vote on it? All in favor of children? All in favor of homeless people? I guess our audience would be the old people. Now we have to decide what we're going to put inside of the package. So what are some supplies we can put in there?
Are you saying that you are preparing care packets for old people that may need them, or for homeless people, or for homeless old people?
Homeless old people.
Okay.
We could put socks, shampoo, lotion, a can of soup.
I think that we should put in raincoats, well, plastic ponchos, because if they're homeless, then they don't have much cover from the rain.
We should also include some toiletries, like deodorant. We should also include toiletries like deodorant and toothpaste and toothbrushes.
Now what are we going to put them in? A Super Value plastic bag?
I think that might be the best option because they're durable, and so they can be reused as well for later purposes.
Are we going to deliver them ourselves, or are we going to keep one in the car so when we travel? So we might see someone there, like give a package to them.
I think that we should go out and deliver them personally so that they know that the ranger guides were the ones who did it.
I agree with Gabby. I'm in agreement with Gabby.
And that will be our next meeting.
So would you mind summing it up? The care packets will be for whom?
The homeless old people.
And the packets would be including
Socks, ponchos, lotion, shampoo, toothpaste, and a toothbrush.
and they would be packaged in,
Super value plastic bag.
and you are to bring them when?
Next meeting.
And how many packets are you proposing to have in total?
15.
And how will you divide what's to be brought? Will somebody be responsible for socks, or are you taking it out of the funds that you have? How are you going to get these items?
Gabby, you are responsible for ponchos, lotion. Mala, you are responsible for the shampoo and the toothpaste. And I'll bring the socks and the toothbrush.
Are you in agreement with that?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Okay. And are we going in the church bus out looking for homeless old people, or are you taking them with you as you drive around with your parents?
We'll take them with us.
Okay. I think that about sums it up.
Okay, Gabby, you are in charge of our downtime.
Okay.
While they get organized, as you've heard time and time again, guiding is fun, even for rangers. Now, rangers spend more time in business meetings, planning, deliberating, coming to agreements, etc. However, even in a business meeting, there should be some time set aside for them to enjoy themselves. So in this case, we are simply calling it downtime. Explain it again.
Okay, so today we will be playing Heads Up in our downtime, and this is a game where we will be guessing whatever is on our cards on our foreheads, and you have a minute to guess as many of the items as you can. And in this game, we will be playing the music round, so we will guess different songs during the minute time period. Who's starting?
You have to stand up? Okay.
And go. Na 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 na
Adele, Remember Me. Don't remember me?
Pass.
Oh, see.
Na 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 na
Just pass, just pass. I listen.
Pass. Pass both.
Pass both?
Upside down.
Na 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 na. You're not gonna get it. Pass. 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 Na 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 na.
I'm not sure.
You're gonna know that's pass.
Time.
Time.
I didn't get any.
Oh.
Okay,
Caitlin, you can go next.
Oh, someone like you. My goodness, I was so close.
Ready, set, go. Na 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 na.
Yeah, okay.
Na 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 na. Pass.
Okay, that's fine for Caitlin.
Na 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 na.
Not that one.
You're not going to know. Okay, pass.
The next one, okay.
Na 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 na.
I don't know. Na.
Boom, boom, boom. Pass. Na 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 na. Na da 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 da.
I get one.
No. You have one more. You could have gotten it. Oh.
No.
Okay. One more. Go.
Okay. Pass the first one? Pass. No, the second one. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Firework.
Yes, that's one. Pass.
You can pass both.
Gangnam Style.
Okay. Yes, too. Just pass.
Wow. Eat it.
Okay.
Not so. Can I get the next one?
Okay. So.
Yeah, we got 3.
Yeah.
Gabby wins.
So Gabby's the winner. She knows most of the song.
Thank you for playing with me, ladies.
Okay, ladies, it's now time to end our meeting. Parents are here, and it's the end of our Ranger time. So we will end our meeting at this point. I'll ask you now to stand for us to renew our guide laws, followed by the promise. We recite our guide laws so we remember them, even if we have to read them. A guide is loyal and can be trusted. A guide is helpful. A guide is polite and considerate. A guide is friendly and a sister to all guides. A guide is kind to animals and respects all living things. A guide is obedient. A guide is cheerful and has courage in all difficulties. A guide makes good use of her time. A guide takes care of her own possessions and those of others. A guide is self-control in all she thinks, says, and does. And our promise? I promise that I will do my best to do my duty to God, to serve the Queen of my country, to help other people, and to keep the guide law. And even though you're in the audience, whenever the promise is said, you're to stand at attention. And you will do the same for taps. We will do taps this once. Day is done, gone the sun, from the seas, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest, God is nigh. And we'll do our dismissal at the end of the 3rd meeting. Thank you. You may be seated. So you see, the business meeting is very much like a regular meeting done by other organizations. So at Rangers, there's less of the symbolism and less of specific things that are unique to guiding. as you would find in the guides and Brownie sections. And now we're moving on to a second meeting. This sample meeting, we will not have the devotions, etc. We'll simply say that this is what is happening. And this one is when we will have a guest speaker.
Good afternoon, Rangers. Hope you're all good. We're about to begin meeting. Gabby, can you lead us in devotions, please? Are there
Devotions.
Are there any apologies, Gabby?
Ariel and Davriel have apologized that they are not able to be here this meeting.
Marla, you can take attendance and dues now.
Alright. Gabby,
Present.
are you having any dues today?
No, I do not.
Caitlin,
Present.
do you have any dues today? No. Okay. Attendance is 3 rangers, and no dues were collected today. Thank you.
Today we have with us a former international commissioner and district commissioner. She is the owner and operator of the Innovative Science Educational Company, and this is a company which gives focus to extracurricular science in terms of tutoring and special events. So it is my pleasure today to introduce our Mrs. Sheena Davis, who will speak to us on the topic Reduce, Reuse, Recycle. It's our survival. Ms. Davis.
Hello, Rangers. It's very good to be here to speak with you about the 3 R's, the importance of the 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Thank you so much for inviting me. I hope to see you again soon, and I hope you made good use of those tips that I gave you regarding reduce, reuse, and recycle. Thank you.
Mrs. Davis, on behalf of our Ranger Company, we thank you so much for making time to come this afternoon and share such information. This is a timely one, especially as we hear so much about climate change and the need to have sustainable development. So thanks again. We will sure put into practice the tips that you gave us today. Thank you very much.
Next week, we will be going to the bowling alley as our closing activity. The game is $15 a person, so make sure you bring your money and back.
And Rangers, once again, we've come to the end of our meeting. We will close in the usual way with the recitation of the guide laws, followed by the promise and taps. Thank you very much. You are dismissed. And now we move on to our third outline meeting. And this one is very similar to one that would give focus to a guest speaker, because the majority of the meeting will be taken up with the activity. So this is what we would do in a meeting when we're having an activity. And the activity may be anything like baking or trying out a new hairstyle or doing facials or designing an outfit, anything that takes a long period of time. So without further ado, I'll let the Rangers introduce this short outline of a meeting.
Good afternoon, Rangers. Hope all is well. We are about to begin meeting. I will lead devotions today. Devotions. Are there any apologies, Gabby?
Gabrielle and Ariel send their apologies for not being able to be here this evening.
Molly, you can take attendance and collect dues now.
Okay, Gabrielle,
Present.
did you bring dues today? No. Caitlin,
Present.
did you bring your dues today? Thank you. You're welcome. Dues collected was $1 with 2 rangers in attendance.
Today's activity is fascinators. We are making fascinators with Androsian print, feathers, and some veils or other decorations. So, y'all pick a color. This will be our base. Now y'all can put feathers, veils, bows, flowers, or any shells, seeds on it. Okay, it's 5:30 and our parents are melting in the cars. Need to get finished. You need to close, Rangers.
Just before we end, there's one announcement. Next week is the week before the award ceremony. So next week, come prepared to vote for the Outstanding Ranger of the Year from our group. So think about the whole year and think of who has been helpful, who's participated in all the activities, and come prepared to vote based on what we've been given from our commissioner. That's our only announcement for the day. And now we will have our closing. We will close in the usual way. We'll stand, say our laws, followed by our promise and taps. Thank you very much. You are dismissed. But now we've had a snippet of our 3 kinds of meetings. The second kind of meeting may be used when we have guest speakers come in. And our guest speakers may be persons who represent a religious denomination, or in fact, at the ranger level, you may want to invite in persons from other religions. Once ago, I had for my rangers, one person who represented the Hindu religion, the Muslims, and from Baha'i, and a Rastafarian, 4 persons. Each of them made a brief presentation, and it was amazing the similarities between the Hindu and the Muslim. And they were quite delighted to be there. Unfortunately, as is always the case, our ranger groups are small. So I think I had about 8 rangers there. Also, there was a time just before election that I invited the persons who were running for the constituency where our rangers meet to come. 2 of the 3 candidates showed up, and the girls were asked beforehand to prepare questions that nobody was supposed to know their own leaning, which party they favored. They were to be apolitical in their questioning, to hear what the issues were. Because you remember that the end of Rangers is 18 years and an 18-year-old can vote. So we need to prepare them. And then of course there are persons who could come in and speak to us on rights of the child, maternal health, budgeting, and even how to do a hood check for a car, because our rangers will be soon driving, so they should be able to know how to change a car tire, etc. So there are any number of persons who may be invited in to speak to our rangers. In terms of activities, I'm sure there's no shortage of areas there. We can look at things from group sports like volleyball to the hiking, scavenger hunts, learning first aid, baking an international dish from scratch, or visiting senior citizens, and the list goes on. Not to mention programs like the Dove program from WAGS, which our rangers had a go at, of all places in Abaco. They tried to teach younger girls in Abaco from the Dove program. So please feel free to explore all of the many opportunities and ideas and issues out there and expose our girls to them so that they may become contributing citizens in a very short time. So those are some of the ideas that you can use in your ranger meetings. I will entertain question and answers after our first ceremony, and we're about to break to do our first short ceremony. In guiding, when a girl is moving from one stage to another, we try to make it a special occasion, and this is marked with a special ceremony. When girls are flying up from brownies to guides, we call it a flying up ceremony, when they're moving, leaving brownies and becoming guides. Similarly, the guides who move from guides to rangers, we call it an advancement ceremony. So we are going to multitask here and try to do for you what may take place as an advancement ceremony. And we have our guides at the back who will say goodbye to one of their own who will come over to join rangers. So we have the guide meeting there and the ranger meeting here. You may do this in many ways. You may want to move upstairs if you're meeting in a two-story building. Have the guides at the bottom, the rangers at the top, so they're advancing up. Or you may wish to simply go from outside to inside, or from one room to another, however you want to do it. We're making do today, so we're just using 2 areas of the room.
Today we're saying goodbye to one of our own, and even though we're sorry to see her go, we're happy to see that she is moving on up. She was only with us briefly as she moved from another company to us, and in that year she's been here, she has made friends, and nobody tells a story like her. So Rangers, you're going to have a good storyteller. So we wish her all the best.
Caitlin, you are a kind, generous, loving person, and I hope you have a wonderful time in Rangers.
The girls have prepared a goodbye for you with a song.
Moving on up moving on up to the Rangers, to the Rangers. We had church time, we had church time. We laughed and we played, we laughed and we played. We sung and we clubbed, we sung and we clubbed. We will meet again, we will meet again. We will meet again.
For your
Caitlin Davies,
Bring back
to lead and guide us in the Rangers.
Thank you. Caitlin, welcome to Rangers.
So welcome present to you.
And bring back me.
And now they will sit down and have a downtime where they would get acquainted. So you may sit for 1 minute, introduce yourselves.
I'm going to start first. My name is Marla.
My name is Gabrielle.
And my name is Caitlin.
My name is also Caitlin.
Aw, so cute.
And we know you will have a wonderful time in Rangers. So thank you so much for coming up.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And because of time constraints, we will end the advancement there, but they would have some time together bonding before the meeting ends. The Ranger Guides is a part of the senior section of guiding. And the senior section includes young leaders, the guide club, the link as well. Now you may ask, what are these things? I've never heard of them. Well, a link is a grouping which takes in young people from ages 18 to 26. And these are people, young persons who may have been guides or venture scouts, and they are now a part of a tertiary level institution. So a link group has to be linked to a tertiary level institution. So Bahamas Baptist College, for example, could have a link group, or BTVI could have a link group, but C.R. Walker cannot have a link group. And so can COB, they may have a link group. The Guide Club and the Young Leaders Program are almost alike in our country. The Guide Club or the Young Leaders Program is like a junior cadet to become a leader. So these are young women who are ages 18 to 26 who want to be leaders and are not directly in a unit functioning as a leader. So their program is what you're going through now, training. And they may be attached to a group where they go for several meetings or as their schedule allows, while they are themselves engaged in guiding program because they're still growing in guiding. The program for the young leaders exposes them to the same central elements of guiding, the same principles of guiding, the same laws, but at an adult level. So the young leaders then are engaged in adult activities that are rooted in the promise and law. Presently, we have nobody pursuing young leadership program here. We would like it to happen because this is where we would draw our persons from when, for example, this year we have a meeting, the Western Hemisphere meets. So all of the countries in the Western Hemisphere that have guiding would be sending representatives there. And there's always a space for a young person, a young leader. But because we don't have it functioning, we can't readily pick someone to go in that space. So that is one of the challenges we really have as an association, to try and strengthen that area, to see if we could keep our rangers and transition them into a Young Leaders program. Now, the Rangers is what we're giving focus to this afternoon. So I want to talk a little bit more about the kinds of things that are kind of unique to Rangers. I spoke earlier off camera about the fact that Rangers is the section that does international travel. Rangers at that age group, we feel they could represent the country, because once they go out of country, then every action they do, every word they say says Bahamas. It doesn't say their name, it doesn't say their parents' name, it says Bahamas. So we like to make sure that our girls are sufficiently mature and have had sufficient background in guiding that they will do us proud when they travel. Rangers, therefore, in their program should be exposed to the international aspect of guiding even more than brownies and guides. A few sessions back, Mrs. Bailey, one of our trainers, talked about the fact that Rangers should even sing international songs. Now I know you say most of the songs that they sing are international songs anyway, but we're talking about guiding. They should be exposed to guiding songs in other languages. They should know how our 4 world centers operate. They should in fact make a trip to our world center. And our closest world center, we've heard of it before, is our Cabana in Cuernavaca, Mexico. So within the 3 years a girl is in Rangers, somewhere along the way she should make a journey to our Cabana. Rangers should have key pals. In the olden days we used to call them pen pals. They should at least have one international key pal that is a ranger in another country, because there's just so much to exchange on an informal basis with someone from another country. At ranger level, you may be shocked to know that they don't have to meet every single week. Rangers have the latitude to be able to meet every other week. Or if they go on to become part of the guide club, it may be every 3 weeks or once a month. But we find that our 14 and 15-year-olds still need to have the regularity of every week. So we find that most of our ranger meetings occur every week. Rangers may even have their own flag, but they have to get special permission for that. Rangers should have say in what they do. That is their thing. Not so much the leader. That is their thing. That's why it's so important that even though we're doing an enactment, it's the girls that do the enactment, to prove the point, to emphasize the point that it is the Rangers, the girls themselves. They plan, but we have to make sure that their plans are within the right framework. We have to make sure that their plans are doable. We have to make sure that they evaluate their plans afterwards. And then we have we used to say our brother scouts, but they have gone co-ed. So we have to say our kindred is not even the term. Our sibling organization, I guess, the Scout Association, where our laws are identical, our promise, because we had the same founder, Baden-Powell. So it is. The equivalent of their rangers are called venture scouts. So the ventures and our rangers are allowed to have joint activities. They could have whatever they want to do that's like a party, or if they want to go on a hike, or if they want to do a scavenger hunt, or if they want to do a coastal cleanup. Any service-based activity, they can have a joint one with the venture scouts. That is not a problem. Rangers also should be meeting periodically with other rangers, because at that level they need to feed off each other and find out what they're doing. And towards that end, POR allows for a junior council or a ranger council, where there are 1 or 2 representatives from each group who sit together in council and they make plans. They look at issues that are affecting young people and they make representation to the executive committee, who in turn can act on it on behalf of Bahamas Girl Guides Association. So I wish to just pause there and ask you if you have any questions so far on anything that we would have shared with you in this session. Any questions? No? All right, I could see the enthusiasm for Rangers. But I'll tell you a secret, if you want a downtime as a leader, be a Ranger leader, because they do the work. They do the planning. They are responsible. Yours is a lighter load there. So I hope I'm making a sales pitch for more Ranger leaders. So what we're proposing to do now is to go through an outline of an investiture ceremony.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the investiture of Caitlin Knowles. A special welcome is invited to guests, parents, relatives, and friends. The theme for this brief ceremony is Love in Action. We will now invite God's blessings on the ceremony as Caitlin offers a prayer. After the prayer, we will sing the Magic Penny song. You are all invited to join in.
Everyone bow their head and close their eyes, please. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing me to be in Golden Rangers. I am excited for my new journey. I pray that I can be able to show love in action in every way that I possibly can, and everyone else. Love is something that you give it away. Give it away. Give it away. Love is something that you give it away, and you end up having more. It's just like a magic penny. You hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, you have so many to roll all over the floor. Love is something that you give it away. Give it away. Give it away. Love is something that you give it away, and you end up having more.
Caitlin will now do the first reading.
The scripture reading is taken from Mark chapter 2, verse 1 through 5. And when he returned to Capernaum after some days, it was reported that he was at home, and many were gathered together, so that there was no longer room for them, and not even about the door, and he was preaching the word to them. And they came bringing to him our paralytic man, carried by 4 men. And when they could not get near him because of the crowd, they removed the roof above him, and when they had made an opening, they let down the pallet on which the paralytic lay. And when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, "My son, your sins are forgiven." In this Bible reading, there are 4 friends who were so concerned about the well-being of their friend that they literally tore up the roof for this person. This story is a wonderful example of what it means to help others and to be helped by others when in need. We all need to help each other.
In preparation for the investiture, we invite you all to sing the second hymn of the guide hymn. The second verse of the guide hymn.
Oh, knit us all together as loyal friends of all, and make us ever ready to help us those who fall. As guides we must be trusted to others to do good. God bless and keep and strengthen the Girl Guide Sisterhood. Caitlin, you have spent several months preparing for this day. You have done very well in your pre-investiture challenge, and it's time for you to make your promise as a ranger. Are you willing to make your promise as a ranger? Do you understand that when you make your promise, you will be trusted to do your best, to do your duty to God, to serve the Queen and your country, to help other people, and to keep the guide law?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you willing to make that promise now?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you do so, please?
I promise that I will do my best to do my duties to God, to serve the Queen and my country, to help other people, and to keep the guide law.
What do you further promise as a ranger?
To be at service to my community.
I trust you to keep this promise which you have made today, and to remember to be of service, not only with big things, but little things. Every day of your life, you should do at least one good deed for someone else. Congratulations and welcome. And I wish to say that as a member of this ranger group is one which can be called on at any time and anywhere to come to do what is expected. So I expect you to rise to the challenge, be loyal to the Bahamas Girl Guides Association, and to have a wonderful time in Rangers. You are now a part of a worldwide body and a part of the senior section of guiding. Once again, welcome.
I will now share some reflective thoughts on the investiture. These reflective thoughts are based from The Broken Body by Jean Vanier. To love is to open our hearts to people, to listen to them, to appreciate them, and to see them in their own unique value. To wish deeply that they may live and grow. To love is to give our lives for one another. It is to forgive and to be compassionate. Thank you. It is possible to give without love, but not to love without giving. As a part of our theme, Love in Action, we call our Chief Commissioner, who is a teacher at a school for students with special needs. Commissioner, we present this care package. Commissioner, we present this care package to you for your students.
And now, parents, relatives, and friends, we invite you to stay behind just a few minutes after our ceremony to greet Caitlin and to encourage her in her time in Rangers. And we have light refreshments thereafter. Rangers, dismiss once more. Thank you.